When you think of Cy Young winners from the turn of the century, who comes to mind? A few that bounce around my brain are Roger Clemens and his late career renaissance, Jacob deGrom and his ever-improving velocity, King Felix who never got the crown he deserved, prime CC Sabathia in Cleveland, Clayton Kershaw, I mean the list goes on and on. We've been able to witness some of the greatest pitching talent to ever grace the diamond in just the past 20 years, and yet, when I search down the list, one name always fills me with surprise and a tinge of sadness. That name is Brandon Webb. Brandon Webb isn't a name often remembered by modern MLB fans. I'm personally familiar with him because of baseball video games I played during the 2006 to 2008 range, when he was dominating MLB hitters. We'll get to that part eventually, but first, let's take you back to the beginning of his playing career to truly understand his roots. Webb was taken in the 8th round with a 249th overall pick by the dbacks in 2000. The only other relevant big leaguer taken in his round was Dontrelle Willis with the 223rd overall pick by the Cubs. He'll be joining us again shortly. Brandon Webb's arsenal included a sinker peaking at 90 miles per hour, a mid-70s curve, and a changeup topping out at 81 miles per hour. That would be his strikeout pitch. This sort of explains why he was taken so late. On paper, his ceiling seemed to be an elite reliever or a back-end starter with his limited repertoire of pitches. With just these three weapons, how exactly did Brandon Webb become an ace?
3 years after getting drafted, Brandon Webb burst onto the scene for a middling Diamondbacks team. He'd be a middle rotation piece behind the aging aces in Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling. Webb posted a 2.84 ERA in his rookie campaign, best among starters on the team. He also impressed with a 1.15 whip and 172 strikeouts on the year. The team had mediocre performance from their lineup and bullpen and finished 84 and 78, but the future looked bright for Brandon Webb and the rest of the D-backs rotation. On the opposite coast, Webb's draft mate, Dontrelle Willis, was leading the young Marlins on a postseason march that would eventually win them a championship. This led to an intense debate as to which hurler would take home the National League Rookie of the Year honors, with the award ultimately going to Dontrelle Willis. I believe that MLB awards voters have gotten smarter in recent years, but you gotta remember that this was 2003. When looking at their stats side by side, Brandon Webb leads Dontrelle Willis in innings pitched, strikeouts, strikeout per walk ratio, ERA, ERA plus, and whip. All these categories, these major pitching categories, but Dontrelle Willis was named an All-Star, he won a World Series with the Marlins, and he led him over in wins back when pitcher wins used to matter a little bit more, so naturally he came away with the Rookie of the Year voting. So Brandon Webb probably should have won this award, but he'd be in contention for some shinier prizes later in his career. First, let's talk about his sophomore season.
2004 was a bit of a different story for Brandon Webb.
Randy Johnson had a career renaissance and put up his best numbers in years, but a Curt Schilling trade and other minor roster breakdowns sent the D-backs into a tailspin, resulting in a very ugly 51-win season. Webb, despite pitching to a 3.59 ERA, had the most losses in MLB at 17. The D-backs' infield defense was inexperienced and just flat-out bad, so Webb's heavy sinker usage that resulted in a high ground ball rate was working against him.
Speaking of his ground ball rate, Brandon Webb was
practically a double play machine no matter how well he was doing in his career. In 5 consecutive full seasons, he was always top 25 in the MLB for yielding double plays. Webb's control issues began surfacing in his sophomore season as well. Webb walked the most batters out of any qualifying pitcher in 2004, as well as the most wild pitches. His strikeout rate also declined from his rookie campaign. Among qualifying starters, Webb's 1.50 whip was bottom 10 in MLB. The following season, Webb put up a similar ERA but managed his walks a lot better, dropping his walk percentage from 12.8 to 6.3. The Diamondbacks signed him to a 4-year, $19.5 million extension following the 2005 season. This was a very good move considering what would come next for the future ace.
2006 was the first year when Brandon Webb truly found himself.
He posted the second most innings pitched and 5th best whip in the major leagues. His 3.10 ERA was 4th in MLB, but this could have been even better, at 2.88 to be exact, without his last start being a blow-up. 4 innings pitched, 7 earned runs. He ended up beating Trevor Hoffman out for the Cy Young. Hoffman locked up 46 saves with a 2.14 ERA for the San Diego Padres.
To that date,
he had the lowest amount of wins for a pitcher to win the Cy Young in MLB history. This was huge considering MLB and its fan base were still very much rooted in attachment to pitcher wins. Going into 2007, he maintained consistency aside from a higher walk and strikeout rate. He had a 42-inning scoreless streak, including 3 consecutive shutouts versus the Los Angeles Dodgers, Washington Nationals, and Atlanta Braves. This was the 12th longest streak in MLB history, with the only modern competitor being R.A. Dickey's 42.2 innings pitched streak coming 5 years down the road.
I always end up talking about R.A. Dickey somehow.
2007 would also be Webb's first taste of postseason action. He tossed 7 innings of 1-run one ball versus the Cubs in the NLDS, and the D-backs swept their way to the next round. However, they'd be swept right back by the division rival Rockies after Webb faltered in his Game 1 start. Despite his 2007 being arguably better than his Cy Young campaign, he'd lose out to Jake Peavy, who was simply a different breed that year for the Padres. Webb's 3.01 ERA in 2007 was second in MLB, but half a run worse than first in Jake Peavy, who had a 2.54.
That's supposed to say 2.54, my bad.
Webb also led the majors in ERA+, tied with only one other player, who I'm sure you can guess. Jake Peavy's Cy Young win was the only time in his career he got Cy Young votes, and he got every single first place vote.
Webb was steamrolling competition yet again in 2008, and had it not been for an awful run in his last 3 starts where he allowed 19 earned runs in 13.2 innings pitched, he might have just snagged his second Cy Young. But he'd lose out again, this time to a masterful Tim Lincecum on the rise in San Francisco.
Despite putting together another impressive season, Brandon Webb really stood no chance against Tim Lincecum and was the obvious second place guy. This would be the first of back-to-back Cy Youngs for Tim Lincecum.
Webb's 3.15 ground ball to fly ball ratio was best in MLB, and his changeup registered its best whiff rate to date, coming in at 55%. This second place finish also put him in a great echelon of players. The only players in MLB history to finish in the top 2 of Cy Young voting 3 consecutive seasons in a row is an unreal list. Jim Palmer, Greg Maddux, Pedro Martinez, Randy Johnson, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, and Brandon Webb. This sadly would be the last of the good times for Brandon Webb. After a disastrous opening day in 2009 against the Colorado Rockies, Webb was placed on the DL and was forced to have shoulder surgery. He'd miss all of 2009 and 2010 and would sign a 1-year deal with the Rangers in 2011. He returned to the minors briefly, struggled immensely, and underwent surgery on his shoulder yet again before calling it a career in 2013.
However, Webb's 3-year stretch from 2006 to 2008 deserves to be immortalized in MLB history. He led the league multiple times in shutouts in ERA+, was a top 3 finisher in ERA, and was a top 2 finisher in Cy Young voting all 3 years. He was just flat out dominant, and he probably had more accolades coming his way had he not got injured. Here are some of the ranks from his 6 full seasons in his career, including being top 6 in games started, complete games, and strikeouts, top 3 in innings pitched and shutouts, and first in sinking fastball usage at 66%. Among starters, he was 4th in pitching WAR, 10th in ERA, and 7th in sinker value. Pitching injuries are vicious and unforgiving, and they derailed the career of a bright young star in Brandon Webb. But I'm hoping a video like this can show you how dominant he truly was for that 3-year stretch, and how dominant he could have been had he never got injured. It's a shame for D-backs fans and MLB fans alike. Brandon Webb probably would be in the echelon of guys like Clayton Kershaw, Jacob deGrom, and Max Scherzer, and it's just one of those what-if stories. I'm the Jolly Olive, and I'll see you guys next time.